Bao Island Storyteller, Journey to the West. Hey kids, welcome to Bao Island. On Bao Island, every story has a taste. Today's taste is wild cobblestone salt and forest smoke. This episode, we're in Mudan Township. Today's story, Red Boy's Fire.
Welcome back to the Bao Island bus. We've driven to the deepest corner of Pingtung, Mudan Township, heading toward the Xuhai coast. Xuhai is a tiny fishing village, maybe a few hundred people, 3 sides mountain and 1 side sea. And just beyond it begins the Alangyi Ancient Trail, Taiwan's last completely undeveloped coastline.
Exhaling, oh. This is completely different from anywhere we've been. There's no road ahead, just a path through the forest and then the sea.
The Alangyi Ancient Trail was used for centuries by the Taiwan people traveling between mountain villages and the coast. When the modern highway was built around Taiwan, this stretch was too difficult for construction. So it was left untouched.
The trail is about 11 kilometers long. You need to apply for a permit and have a guide. It's one of the most protected pieces of coastline in the country.
Stepping onto the cobblestone beach, oh, the stones. They're huge and rounded, like the ocean polished every single one. And when the waves roll in, the stones click and roll against each other. It sounds like applause.
The Pacific waves have been rounding these stones for thousands of years. No seawall, no concrete, just the ocean doing what it has always done.
It's so loud and so quiet at the same time. Waves, stones, wind, and nothing else.
No highway noise. You can stand here and hear what this coast always sounded like.
This is the kind of place that makes you realize you've been living too loud.
There's something here, something you can only taste on Bao Island. The ocean has been turning these cobblestones for 1,000 years. And the cold salt smell they hold, nothing else in the world smells like this.
Excited, what is it? Tell me, tell me.
Take a guess.
Mouth full, let me take a bite first.
We stopped in Checheng on the way down, the small town famous for one thing.
Producing a thermos, mung bean soup. In Checheng they call it green bean garlic, but there's no actual garlic. The beans are cooked so long they split open and become silky smooth, almost porridge-like.
What does it look like?
Pouring into a cup, pale green. The beans have completely dissolved, it's more like a thick, silky broth than a soup with chunks. There's a faint sweetness and a gentle herbal quality. Drinking, clean, gentle, warm. This soup is not trying to impress you. It's just being nourishing. You can taste the patience, the beans cooked for a very long time.
Mung bean is a cooling food in Taiwanese folk medicine, perfect for the humid heat of the south.
Drinking, there's something settling about this. It grounds you. Perfect for a wild coast walk.
We're about to meet a character who is the opposite of settled.
Looking up, Red Boy?
Red Boy.
Excited, tell me everything.
Before we get to the action, who is Red Boy? His full title is Prince Red Cloud, or Sage Boy Red Cloud. His father is the Bull Demon King, one of the 7 great demon kings of this world, a sworn brother of Sun Wukong from his pre-pilgrimage days. His mother is Princess Iron Fan, who carries a magical banana fan that can put out fires or start them.
And Red Boy himself?
He's 300 years old. He looks like a child, maybe 10 or 11, small build, sharp face, wild red hair, but he has 3 centuries of cultivation behind him. He's been practicing fire arts his entire life.
Fire arts?
3. Samadhi Fire. This is not ordinary fire. This is fire born from the deepest interior, from a kind of spiritual heat that has nothing to do with burning wood or oil. It doesn't need fuel. It doesn't respond to water. In fact, water makes it burn hotter.
Water makes fire worse?
3. Samadhi fire is fueled by internal energy. Pouring physical water on it is like pouring water on a chemical fire, the reaction intensifies. Even Sun Wukong, who can survive almost anything, cannot handle this fire.
Slowly, so for the first time since the trigram's furnace, there's something that can actually hurt him.
When Sun Wukong was thrown into Laozi's furnace in heaven and survived, everyone assumed he was indestructible. Red Boy's fire is the counterargument. The pilgrims were crossing a mountain called Lianhua Cave, Lotus Flower Cave. Red Boy had been watching them for some time. He knew Tang Monk was coming. He'd heard the legends that the Tang Monk's flesh, if eaten, grants immortality.
Everyone wants to eat Tang Monk.
A remarkable number of demons in this novel believe eating Tang Monk will make them immortal. It has not yet worked out well for any of them.
Red Boy was waiting?
He'd set up a trap. As the pilgrims approached a narrow pass, Red Boy pulled a transformation that reduced himself to the appearance of a child hanging from a rope in a tree, crying for help.
Immediately, oh no. Don't fall for it, Tang Monk.
Tang Monk fell for it immediately.
Groaning, of course he did.
He saw what appeared to be a small child, tied to a tree, crying. He told Sun Wukong, "We have to help."
He could tell immediately.
Sun Wukong's eyes can see through transformations. He'd had the golden pupil since his years under the mountain. The burning smoke in Laozi's furnace had tried to blind him, and instead refined his sight. He sees what things actually are, not what they appear.
He said it clearly. The child is a demon. Did Tang Monk listen?
Tang Monk said, "Wukong, I cannot leave a suffering child in a tree. If I'm wrong, I accept the consequences. But I will not walk past a child crying for help." Sun Wukong, reluctantly, cut the child down. The moment Tang Monk's hands touched the child, Red Boy moved.
Instant.
A gust of supernatural wind, Red Boy's command, swept Tang Monk off his horse and into the sky. Gone. Before any of the disciples could react. 1 second Tang Monk was on his horse, the next, the road was empty and there was a smell of ozone and heat in the air.
Quietly, he really is fast.
Shu Beiji and Sha Monk stood there in complete shock. Sun Wukong stood very still, looking at the sky where Tang Monk had disappeared. He said nothing for a moment. Then he said, "I told him."
He wasn't even angry. Just resigned.
The deepest frustration is the kind you predicted and still couldn't prevent.
Sun Wukong sent the other 2 disciples to find food and shelter. Then he went to find Red Boy's cave alone.
Alone?
He had a plan. And the plan required subtlety. Which is not Sun Wukong's natural strength, but he has been learning. Sun Wukong flew to Lianhua Cave and knocked on the gate. A demon guard peered out. Sun Wukong said carefully, politely, "Please tell the prince that his father's old sworn brother has come to pay a visit."
He's using the family connection.
His logic was, "I was sworn brother to Bull Demon King. Bull Demon King is Red Boy's father. Technically, by the old codes of brotherhood, I am something like an uncle to Red Boy. If Red Boy respects that bond, he might release Tang Monk as a courtesy."
Considering, that's not a terrible plan.
Red Boy came out to meet him. He was smaller than Sun Wukong expected, still looking like a child, but with eyes that held 300 years of fire practice. He looked Sun Wukong up and down and said, "You claim to be my father's brother?"
Deflated, oh. That's a very logical takedown.
Red Boy had thought this through. The social logic of the connection was real, but he'd found the gap in it.
Sometimes the argument you think will work is the one the other person has already prepared a response to. Let's keep walking along the trail. Forest on one side, cobblestone beach on the other.
Walking, the stones are hard to walk on. Your feet sink in and roll a little with each step. But the view, the Pacific stretching out endlessly, and these cliffs draped in forest.
The trail was used by the Taiwan people for centuries. It's also the route where Japanese-era explorers and soldiers once marched. There's history in every stone.
Taiwan's entire coastline has been developed. Every stretch has a highway, a seawall, a fishing harbor. Except this one. This is the last piece of the original coast.
Stopping, there's a seabird riding the updraft from the cliff. Just hanging there. Not moving its wings. Just floating on the wind.
The undeveloped coast preserves not just the landscape but the feeling. No engine noise, no construction. Just the sound the coast always made.
Red Boy's Fire?
Red Boy's Fire doesn't preserve. It just burns.
What's the difference?
Intention. Where the fire comes from.
Rest stop on the trail. Bao has the sausages we grilled earlier.
Excitedly, Mudan Township wild boar sausage. The hunters here have been catching wild boar in these forests for generations. The sausage is made with boar meat, wild herbs, and a little millet wine.
The textures?
Eating, the texture is coarser than regular pork sausage, you can feel the grain of the meat. The flavor is wild and deep and slightly gamey in the best way. There are herbs in there I can't name but they're right. And the millet wine gives a faint fermented sweetness at the finish. This sausage tastes like this coast smells. Wild and old and very alive.
Wild boar is a traditional protein for mountain indigenous communities, hunted with care, used completely. Nothing wasted.
Mouth full, it tastes like the forest and the sea had a conversation. Bold, honest, no decoration.
Red Boy arrives now.
Swallowing fast, right. He was about to attack.
Sun Wukong realized the negotiation had failed. He pulled out his staff. Red Boy pulled out 2 spears. They fought.
1-on-1.
Sun Wukong outclasses Red Boy in almost every way: strength, speed, experience, technique. He's fought gods. He's fought heaven itself. A 300-year-old child should not be a match for him.
Warily, should not.
They exchanged 30 moves. Sun Wukong was winning on points, not decisively, but clearly. Red Boy kept getting pushed back. And then Red Boy stopped fighting. He stood still, planted his feet, took a breath, and changed.
Quietly, here it comes.
He called fire into himself. Not from outside, from inside. The 3 Samadhi Fire comes from 3 sources of inner energy: the fire of the heart, the fire of the navel, and the fire of the soles of the feet. All 3 together, combined and ignited simultaneously.
What did it look like?
Red Boy opened his mouth and breathed out a column of red fire. Then through his nose black smoke so thick it was like solid night. Then from his eyes white fire. 3 different fires at once. The color of them together was something Sun Wukong had never seen before.
Odd, 3 colors of fire. From a child.
The heat hit Sun Wukong before the flame did. He tried to move, but 3 Samadhi Fire moves in all directions at once. There's no gap to escape through. The fire hit. Sun Wukong's cloud-stepping shoes caught first, then his collar, then his hair. He batted at the flames with his staff, but wherever the staff touched, the fire climbed higher.
Alarmed, he can't put it out.
Water was the worst option. The river below the mountain was close. Sun Wukong's instinct was to dive in. That was almost a fatal mistake. He leapt toward the water, smoke streaming behind him.
Enno, don't go in the water.
His disciples Xuhai and Tang Monk, who had returned, saw him coming and screamed, "Master, don't, it's fire water," but too late.
Horrified, the water made it worse.
3 Samadhi Fire is fueled by internal chi, pure spiritual energy. Physical water has no power over it. The shock of the cold river hitting the superheated fire threw Sun Wukong to the bottom of the river. He lay there on the riverbed, completely stunned. For the first time in a very long time, he didn't immediately know what to do next.
Falling into the river. Beaten. In the wrong direction.
Quietly, he almost never loses.
Almost. But this fire is something he genuinely cannot beat alone.
Let's rest on this ridge and look at the view. The Pacific stretches out below, and the trail continues along the cliff ahead.
Looking out, I can see the cobblestone beach curving away below us. The stones are all different shades, gray, brown, cream, some almost white. And the waves keep rolling them endlessly.
This coastline has looked like this for thousands of years. No human has changed it. The forces at work here are purely geological, the river bringing stones, the ocean rounding them.
There's something humbling about that. All our effort to build and change, and here's a beach that doesn't care about any of it.
Laughing, the beach is very unbothered by human concerns. Sun Wukong would not enjoy being ignored by a beach.
Sun Wukong was the same once. Wild, clever, taking things by force, not caring about consequences. The difference, he grew up. Red Boy has 300 years but hasn't grown up at all.
300 years old and still acting like the most powerful child in the room?
All that power, none of the wisdom. That combination is the most dangerous kind of person.
Looking at the waves, the ocean doesn't care how powerful you are.
It just keeps going.
Sun Wukong dragged himself out of the river, downstream from the fire, and sat on a rock. He was not seriously injured, but he was humbled. Genuinely humbled.
Quietly, what does that feel like for him? He's not used to it.
He sat there for a while. Then he went back to where Xuhai and Tang Monk were waiting. They looked at him, disheveled, burned edges on his clothes, wet from the river. Xuhai, who has a talent for unhelpful observations, said, "Did you lose?"
He admitted it.
He admitted it out loud, to his fellow disciples. For Sun Wukong, who once declared himself the great sage equal to heaven and meant it, that admission cost something real.
Knowing your limits isn't weakness. It's the beginning of finding the right solution.
He thought about who could help with this specific fire. Not strength, he had plenty of that. Not speed, irrelevant. He needed someone who understood fire arts, celestial fire, the inner sources of flame. Someone who operated at that level.
He's going to have to go get help.
He's going to have to ask for help. Which is harder?
Quietly, the most powerful being in the story, going to ask for help. Journey to the West is about learning, isn't it? Over and over.
That's where chapter 40 ends. Tang Monk is in the demon's cave. Red Boy is sitting in his cave, completely confident he's beaten Sun Wukong. Nobody can challenge his fire, the great monk will soon be on his table. And Sun Wukong is sitting by a river in the dark, wet and burned and thinking.
That image is so different from how we usually see him.
The hero sitting in the dark, wet and unsure. Not giving up, just thinking. Admitting the problem is bigger than he is. That's where real problem solving starts.
Red Boy wins the battle. The question is whether he wins the war.
Confidently, he doesn't.
Laughing, he does not. But how it gets resolved, that's next chapter.
The sun is dropping toward the Pacific. The cobblestone beach is turning gold and the cliffs are deep in shadow. The trail stretches away into the fading light.
Today we walked the Alangyi Ancient Trail, Taiwan's last undeveloped coastline, with the Pacific pounding cobblestone beneath us and forest running to the sea. We drank Checheng mung bean soup from a thermos and ate Mudan wild boar sausage grilled on the trail. And we heard chapter 40, Red Boy, 300-year-old son of the Bull Demon King, kidnapped Tang Monk with a rope-child trap. Sun Wukong tried diplomacy, then combat. Red Boy used 3 Samadhi Fire from inside, 3 flames at once, and burned Sun Wukong badly enough to drive him into the river, where the water made it worse. Sun Wukong ended the chapter on a riverbank, wet, burned, and thinking.
He lost. Genuinely lost. And he admitted it.
Sometimes admitting you've lost a battle is how you start winning the war.
What's next episode?
Next time we leave Pingtung and head north into Kaohsiung, Taiwan's great port city. We're going to Pier 2, the old harbor arts district in Gushan and Yancheng. Noodles and oyster omelette. And the story, Sun Wukong goes to the Dragon Kings of the Four Seas for help against the fire they can't help. He goes higher. A celestial being finally gives him a solution. And then, the confrontation with Red Boy round 2. Very different from round 1.
Kaohsiung. The harbor city. I can already smell the oyster omelette.
There you go. See you next time. Softly, admitting you can't do it alone isn't losing, it's the first step toward finding the way through. On Bao Island, stories grow up with you.